Hey everyone, so I have actually debated whether or not I would do a video like this, but for some reason this whole concept has been bothering me for some time. For no reason, I just have an opinion on it and felt like sharing with everybody and to see if anybody felt the same way I did. So here we go. So as you could tell by the title of this video, I would like to discuss 50 Shades of Grey and all of my opinions on this new franchise that is apparently building on itself. So I'm just going to start this video by saying that I have not read any of the books. I have not seen the movie. I do not plan on reading any of the books. I do not plan on going to watch this movie for several reasons. Number one, I am just not interested. The concept and idea does not interest me, and I just am not interested in going to watch this fan fiction of a movie. So needless to say, this movie is in fact based off of books that are fan fiction. Personally, I do not read fan fiction. I do not like to read other people's stories. Not to say that fan fiction isn't something that people enjoy, and if you do, more power to you. I wish I did like to read it because I can dive into more stories of my favorite characters, but because of the fact that it's not canon and that it's not real, honestly, I just don't like to read it because I feel that the author's words are what I am most interested in reading, and when I finish reading a book, I'm done reading it. I don't really feel the need to continue on with a story that isn't real, even if it is something that I wish happened. It didn't happen in real life, and I'm cool with it. Move on. As I said, I have not read the books. Don't really know anything besides the main points of the story. I read like the entire plot summary for all three of the books, which I think was actually one big story that the publishers of this author decided to cut up into three pieces just to basically make more money off of it, because that's what it's really about. I'm honestly just really surprised that a Twilight fan fiction became an actual published book and now a movie. I will admit that I was a Twihard. I loved Twilight. I read all 4 books twice. I was Team Jacob for the longest time. I love those books. They're really good. When Twilight and New Moon Eclipse, everything, when it was popular, a lot of people made fun of those who love those books. I mean, I didn't care. I like what I like. But I mean, people made fun of it because, like, oh, you know, you're loving this story about about vampires and werewolves and whatever, and now people are obsessed with 50 Shades of Grey, even though it's based off of Twilight. So, I mean, you're kind of a hypocrite if you were that person who made fun of those who liked Twilight, and now, because you're curious, are gonna go and watch 50 Shades of Grey. I mean, so do what you want. It's not that big a deal. I just wanted to talk about how I felt about it because it's just something going on right now and I had opinion on it. And so one thing that I have just been really, that has just appalled me, honestly, is the fact that real life people have been getting hurt and have had to go to the emergency room because they have been trying stuff based off of 50 Shades of Grey. I just know that it's some crazy stuff that these people do in that book. I don't know the specifics. I don't want to know. But real life people are getting hurt. So that alone is just crazy to me. Like, this is so definitely a movie that should have a headline to say, just don't try this at home because it's dangerous. Like, you can get hurt. People have gotten hurt. And one thing that just seriously has annoyed me so much is people that are like, oh, I'm not gonna read the books, but I'm gonna go watch the movie. Like, so you're not okay with reading a book that is a published piece of work, in the comfort of your own home, just to see what the story is, but you're okay with going out in public, willing to go watch on screen in public this Christian Grey guy kind of hurt the main character. And I've seen other videos of people that have gone to go watch the movie, and obviously, I mean, I guess there's sex scenes in the movie. I mean, it's rated R. I've seen it in the little description of why it's rated R. So, I mean, those scenes are in the movie, and I don't know if they're as explicit in the book. As I said, I don't know the book, I don't know the movie, so I'm just going off what I've heard here. But apparently there is a scene where he like hits her with a belt or something, and he hits her a few times, and even though she doesn't say no, she's not really egging him on, so he's hurting her. I've seen in some people's videos that they're trying to justify everything in this movie and book, story, whatever, and they're saying, you know, oh yeah, that if she told him to stop, that he would stop. Like, this is 30-something-year-old man who has this whatever business that he has. I don't know what exactly he works as, but he's a rich guy. And we have this 20-something, like 21-year-old girl who is going to school, or she's a journalist or something. I don't even know what she is. But she is kind of a pushover, I guess. And I feel like he's just taking advantage of her. I don't know what part of hitting your partner is a turn on, but I mean, if that's your thing, just don't hurt each other. But yeah, basically, I just don't know how one justifies the other in not reading the books but going to watch the movie. I mean, it's the same thing. One is just you reading it and you're imagining what's happened, so it might not be as bad as going to watch it. And the other, you're seeing it on screen. You're seeing this person tie somebody up and hit them. Like, I don't know what you get from that. Now, if I were to just say one thing in this video that annoys me the most about this whole franchise, is that yes, it is a controversial topic and book, in the fact that it has these explicit scenes in it, and that there is in fact emotional and physical abuse, even if people don't want to admit it. But the fact that people try and justify it by saying it's just fiction, it's just a book, that is kind of offensive to all the other. That's kind of offensive to me, because you can't just say that it's just a book. Fiction is something that means a lot to people. It means a lot to me. That's why I have this channel, because I love fiction and I love stories. By saying that 50 Shades of Grey is just a story and that it doesn't impact people's lives, we've seen how they impact people's lives because people are in the hospital. And like, to say that it doesn't matter, it's almost saying like classics don't matter and other fiction books don't matter. I mean, they matter. Fiction has the ability to, you know, let people read and just go somewhere else for a minute in their lives. And they teach people things, and you learn life lessons from these fictional characters and these fictional stories. And yeah, it's fake, it's make-believe, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't matter. I mean, why do you think we read novels and fiction in school? I mean, I don't agree with everything in the educational system, but the fact that they have us read and that there's programs like AR, that's a good thing, because we learn from books. We learn from these stories in which these characters are going through hardships. There are industries and theme parks, and people get phrases and pictures tattooed on their bodies forever based off of books. Like, if J.K. Rowling hadn't written Harry Potter, we wouldn't have Universal Studios, the Harry Potter land. Like, that's how much of an impact that stories and fiction make on our lives. The fact that we will pay money to go to this theme park and pretend to be in this land that we've read and we've loved, like, that tells you something. That tells you that it's meaningful and that it's a real part of our lives. If you really think about it, fiction is just a kind of representation of the world we live in today. Authors don't just pick stuff out of nowhere. They use the world around us to write their characters and write their stories. So, I mean, to say that 50 Shades of Grey is just fiction and just make-believe and doesn't matter, just because you want to justify yourself for going to see this movie or read these books, is like saying, like, all these other classics don't matter. Harry Potter doesn't matter. You know, The Kite Runner doesn't matter. One of my favorite books. Like, you can't just justify saying that because you want an excuse to go and read this controversial book or go and watch this controversial movie. Obviously, I'm not saying don't go watch this movie. If you want to go watch it, go and watch it. I'm sure it's entertaining. But don't be a hypocrite and say that something doesn't matter when it does. And besides all of that, I have seen some samples of the writing style, like on Tumblr and stuff, and it's hilariously horrible. Honestly, and I'll reiterate, I have not read these books. I actually looked up some of the writing, and I've seen some of the like passages on Tumblr and stuff, and the writing is really bad. I mean, for example, he looks askance at my beetle, but I ignore him. What is askance? And another one, and that's not the future he envisages. Envisages? What are these words? It sounds like it sounds like the author just wrote everything down and then wanted to flip a not so fancy word with a fancier word to make it sound more fancy. Like, that's something that you do with your essays in school. Like, that's not, you need a different flow of words in a novel. Like, I don't know. I mean, fiction represents our culture. It is what people take out of our lives. It's what we think in our societies, in our hearts, and, you know, in our daily lives, in our families. It's just who we are. And the other reason that I don't understand why this book is so popular, because of the content of the book, there is an entire genre of fiction called erotica, I think. You know, that section in Barnes & Noble where you never go to because it has all the pictures of Fabio on the cover. There's an entire genre of those type of books. So I don't know why this story has been so glorified in the media and in film and just everything. I don't know why it's such a big deal when there's an entire genre of books just like this that exist. I mean, if you want to get your kicks out of a book like this, go and read a book with Fabio on the cover. I mean, it's not that hard to get a hold of. So yeah, basically what I'm trying to say with this video is that I don't agree with the books or the movie, and I don't like how it's kind of glorifying a kind of emotional, an abusive relationship, I feel. Obviously, some people might disagree with me. This is just what I feel. So if you leave with anything in this video, it's just to not justify one book as just being fiction because you wanna have an excuse to read it, because all fiction matters. And to say that, you know, this book is just fiction, it doesn't do all of the other wonderful books justice. So just, yeah, keep that in mind. Well, I think that is it for this rant of the evening. If you guys have any comments, leave them down below. Just don't be mean, okay? I'm a nice person. This is just an opinion of mine, so don't be mean. But anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.